Alright, welcome back for another replay cast, playing as the Orcs again. So for our Lord, we've got Wurrzag. We've got 4 squads of Savage Orcs with some light experience on them, 2 squads of Stone Trolls with some more experience on them, along with 4 squads of Forest Goblin Spider Riders, also with some good experience on them. Our opponent is going to be the Dark Elves. They're using Morathi as their Lord. Let's see what they've got. So they've got some Dark Riders, Cold One Knights, Sisters of the Same Doom, which is Regiments of Renown Witch Elves. Got a couple of Black Art Corsairs, Dread Spears on the front line, and the Siren of Red Ruin, which is a Blood-Rack Medusa. This is not a unit I'm familiar with, so good armor piercing value. It's like a single entity monster that, let's see if it does splash damage, I would assume, because it's anti-infantry, so it looks like it does. And anyways, let's get into it. So we're playing on Arnheim, and I'm looking to take the top to start. And I built my army with a good amount of Savage Orcs because I wanted them to be able to deal with the frontline forces of the Dark Elves. So we're going for point 3 to start, and we're going to get ourselves a downhill charge. I didn't want to play for points 2 and 1 at the beginning because I figured, given the Dark Elves the high ground when they have pretty powerful shooting, would probably be a bad idea. Let's see what spells coming down. So Spiteful, well, Soul Stealer and Spiteful Conjuration coming down. I'm not sure if those are separate abilities. Play one as a passive. Soul Stealer, I guess, is a weak versus multiple combatants, strong versus a single combatant, strong versus character. So I'm not sure if they, looks like they cast it on Wurrzag and affected some units in the area. So Morathi's going to be flying around on her Harpy, I guess. I'm not sure what this thing is. Not a Harpy. I don't even know what the name for that mount would be, but some kind of flying horse thing. Savage Orcs charging downhill into the Dread Spears. Looks like the Blood-Rack Medusa is firing in to them. I saw a little explosion on the initial charge. I did bring Stone Trolls because I figured they were going to be good with their physical and their missile resistance against the Dark Elf troops. Although they are somewhat armored, and the Dark Elves tend to have decent armor-piercing missiles, I figured they'd be able to kind of resist a good amount of that, and that'd allow them to perform without just getting immediately shot down from their backlines. So, running in, getting on top of these Black Art Corsairs, and you see these guys are getting smashed by them. Good armor-piercing value on the Stone Trolls. Another group going in looking to get rid of that Feral Manticore. My opponent's got some Dark Riders with shields coming up here towards these Savage Orcs on point 3. These guys are just going to sit and hold. I'm keeping Wurrzag in the back. I actually didn't realize this when I was setting him up. I started editing his spells, and then I forgot to continue doing so. So he's only got Gaze and Warp. So what I'm going to be doing is targeting Morathi with that, and then just keeping some Savage Orcs on top of him to prevent her or some type of cavalry unit from gooning him out. Forest Goblin Spider Riders charging into some Dark Rider with shields. I believe that's going to be a losing battle for them. And front line just going wild. Of course, Trolls are rampaging as they do. Cold One Knights charging in to counter the Trolls. Rear charge with the Forest Goblin Spider Riders pulling out after dealing a little bit of initial damage. Looks like are they rampaging as well? Yep. Another squad charging in. I was trying to do some cycle charging, so charge one in, pull one out, charge another one in. These guys run around the backfield trying to pick a target. Squig Herd coming in for some armor-piercing anti-infantry. Also, River Trolls coming in for some more armor-piercing damage. These River Trolls are the Regiments of Renown called the Swamp Things, and they also have Overwhelming Odor, so they give a kind of an aura of melee debuffing. So that's going to be good getting into combat with a unit like the Sisters of Singing Doom because they have good weapons. Good melee attack is going to pull that down a little bit, just decrease their damage output. You can see that the Dark Riders got pushed off pretty easily by the Savage Orcs. They probably dealt a decent amount of damage on the charge because of the low armor on these guys, or the complete lack of armor, I should say. Wurrzag and the Savage Orcs dealing with these Dread Spears that kind of push through onto them. Blood-Rack Medusa's getting jumped by the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. They're not going to be able to do too much damage to her, although she is actually pretty lightly armored, so maybe that's not a situation she wants to be in. These are large targets as well. Stone Trolls and Savage Orcs just finished up that melee combat, so we'll see what I get them into next. Looks like they're jumping on top of the Blood-Rack Medusa as well. Although actually that was probably more likely my opponent sending her off of the Goblin Spider Riders onto the Savage Orcs. Wurrzag sticking with these Savage Orc Biggins, just trying to keep some anti-large presence around him. Morathi's charged in and is dealing with some of these Savage Orcs, the Feral Manticore. Actually, is this a Feral Manticore? Yep, charging back in, looking to get into the infantry blob battle. And right now we just got a big mess of a fight for this ramp area and control over point 2. You can see a little bit of a lapse in micro from me with the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. I want to keep them busy. Got some Orc Boar Boys over here fighting with the Cold One Knights. I brought Orc Boy Biggins to deal with their cavalry play, mostly Cold One Knights and Dark Riders, although they've got some reinforcements charging in here into these boars. Spider Riders moving around, trying to figure out next targets, and I think these guys are going to be coming in support of the Orc Boys, but unfortunately for them, they're getting chased off, so now these guys are going to take the brunt of the combat after they've got into that engagement. Wurrzag is in some trouble here. He is fighting with this Bloodrack Medusa, which is not a situation he wants to be in because he's infantry size. And Morathi's coming in to support with the assistance of a Master who's got a good armor piercing. He is meant to be anti-large, but he's going to deal well in combat against a lord like this. And he's going to do really good against the amount of stone trolls that are kind of in this mix over here. You can see the river trolls are running, bad leadership on them. And that's just a theme of this game. If you are unfamiliar with some of the units, troll units usually have very low leadership, so they're going to get chased off easy. Still got control over point 3. My opponent has kind of backed off of there. I was able to chase these Dark Riders off with the Savage Orcs, and they're pushing me further off of point 2. Again, I haven't threatened point 1 in case I didn't mention this yet, because they're sitting Dread Spears on here, and my most mobile units are my cavalry, and it's going to be a waste for me to charge them into these Dread Spears, so I haven't really put too much pressure on that. A lot of units, again, this is kind of a theme of the Orcs, a lot of units fleeing, so I'm going to have to be consistent with unsummoning, which you can see I'm not doing a great job of here, but definitely better than when I started. And big blob of infantry pushing out here, so their cavalry squad is pretty beat up over here. I sent Snotling pump wagons over this way. I probably shouldn't have sent them into cavalry like this. I figure if I routed them over this way and jumped into the Black Ark Corsairs and units like that, that's more what these pump wagons are meant for, armor-piercing anti-infantry troops. They are similar to chariots from what I've seen, so that's a unit that I'll have to work on microing with. But it's pretty interesting playing as the Greenskins. They've got a lot of stuff you can be moving around because of the amount of low-cost troops they've got. You saw some of the summons going on over here. Cold One Knights and more Cold One Knights dealing with the pump wagons. Spider Riders getting chased off over here by the Dark Riders. Another squad of Savage Orcs running downhill. See a Gaze and Mork going into Morathi. And the Savage Orcs that I had up here, I believe they were from my initial squad, so they were camping on point 3, but at this point I'm realizing my opponent's ahead in points and I gotta get at least a double cap, and so bringing some troops off of here. I do have some pretty cheap reinforcements I can bring in case they were to send Dark Riders or some kind of reinforcements up there, but for now I really wanted to get in and just keep competing for point 2. So right now, Manticore coming down, lapse of micro for me. This Squig Herd should be coming in and getting these guys off of Wurrzag. You see the attack animation of him pushing this guy further back, and a little bit of awkward interaction from the mass there, but Wurrzag getting pushed further back, and he's potentially going to die here. You can see I brought in some Orc Boy Biggins as a last chance kind of thing to try to get on top of this guy and get him off, but I believe Wurrzag does go down here. We got some Cold One Knights charging in on the side to flank the Orc Boys, and these guys are basically out of leadership, out of health. Some more Savage Orcs on their way, trying to get some infantry in here to deal with all the, they've still got Black Ark Nagaron, they've got Black Ark Corsairs. Morathi is, actually she's large size, I didn't realize that. I think you can bring her on foot, but she's on her mount, so she's large size, and I believe the Master is on a mount as well. No, he's on foot actually. Yeah, he's on foot. So either way, I wanted to get some infantry base in there. So Savage Orc Biggins to get some anti-large. They should have been charging right into this mess though to deal with the Cold One Knights and the Feral Manticore. Squig Herd coming to support as well, but what I should be doing here, I'm going to fast forward because this game is a foregone conclusion. You can see my opponent's 3,000 ahead in gold value. He's got a lot more troops on the field. And when you're the Greenskins, that's usually a bad sign. He's got more supplies, and I'm just not able to get control of points here. So one thing I want to point out that this is another thing I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional of. When you start losing momentum, running units in one at a time, what you're seeing me do here, is not a good idea. Because especially when your lord's gone and you have low leadership, you need troops supporting each other to not only get good engagements and good value, but to prevent morale from breaking and just having a run in, run out kind of situation. So it's okay to cede ground temporarily and to re-push, because when your opponent has a bunch of units on the field and you're losing a bunch, you can be more precise with choosing unit counters and whatnot. And then maybe pick and choose your engagements a little more optimally. So something for me to work on. Again, learning a lot of things as I watch my own replays and I see some of the comments I've got on videos. So let's take a look at the gold values, the damage value. Wurrzag did pretty bad. Stone Trolls actually did decently. Savage Orcs did pretty well. Spider Riders were probably a bad look here. I think I could have brought 1 or 2 squads of these guys, but instead not put experience on them and get some kind of other stronger cavalry in my starting squad. These River Trolls did pretty bad. I didn't bring them in during the best situation, so Savage Orc Biggins did their job. These guys were really meant to protect Wurrzag for me and deal with some of the backline cavalry movement. Orc Boy Biggins did not do as well as I would have thought. I really didn't get to see him too much with the Goblin Rock Climbers. I think because of where I was looking on the map, we didn't get to see the artillery work, but they didn't get jack shit done basically. Pump Wagons didn't do much, Squig Herds didn't do too much. They're pretty cheap, but I had max chevrons on them, so not earning their keep. But Morathi put in a lot of work. I'd say a good amount of that is from Soul Stealers. Bloodrack Medusa put in a good amount of work. I'm not sure how much it costs, but 2,600 damage is pretty hefty. I can't imagine she cost that much. The Witch Elves got crushed. I think them fighting Savage Orcs and Stone Trolls was not going to play out well. Black Ark Corsairs did alright. Dread Spears alright. Cold One Knights did decent. Dark Riders alright. Whoa, Blackguard and Nagron put in a lot of damage from this squad. What is this? More Cold One Knights. So their Cold One Knights did pretty well. Dark Riders did alright. The Master did alright. He wasn't on the field for too long, or at least he wasn't in engagements for too long. So just for a Foot Master, that's decent value. Anyways, well played to my opponent. Definitely a learning experience for me there. I think next time I face up against Dark Elves as the Greenskins, I bring some kind of different cavalry play. Maybe less cavalry and more Orc big ends. Because these guys did not trade well with the Cold One Riders like I thought they might. And these Spider Riders were basically a wash. I think I bring them in not as like a four cards type of unit, but as a 1 or 2 card type of unit, and use them for their poison debuff. There's other units that could do that, maybe some kind of Goblin Archers or something like that. But anyway, something for me to play around with. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.